to work with a lot of very talented people. People who frankly have really, really cool jobs. But I'm always interested when I talk to people and I find out that that great job wasn't always the plan.
Okay, unpack. Check. Hang posters. Check. Now I just need to ace my classes, graduate with honors, and become the greatest scarer ever.
Mike's story in Monsters University is just like my story.
I definitely relate to Mike and how badly he wants one thing.
A lot of times movies tell you you can be anything if you try. If you work hard enough, it will always work out all the time.
I grew up playing baseball, nothing else. Wanted to be a baseball player.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a professional basketball player.
But honestly, sometimes it doesn't work out.
I broke my hand at a volleyball tryout at a different school than the one I wanted to go to, and my basketball career was over.
I didn't realize until much later, but it turned out I wasn't so good at baseball.
Sorry, Squirt. Some monsters just aren't cut out for the big leagues.
My name's John Nevades. My first job was helping my dad. He was a gardener. So Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, he'd wake me up and we go do yards. For college, I went to UC Santa Barbara as a math major because my high school teacher was Jaime Escalante. And he made math so fun. I thought, yeah, I could do something with math.
I'm Jae-hyung Kim. I was a medical doctor back in Korea. I think some kids don't have any future plan in detail. I was one of them. So when I was in a medical school, I was kind of just mediocre student.
When I flunked out of school, I felt like a loser. I felt like a total failure.
I was definitely lost. I couldn't think of anything else but baseball.
It's even more shocking because I was the first one in my family to go to college. It hit me really hard.
At the time, while only 17, 18 years old, I did feel like my life was over. I didn't know what to do.
During that time that I was out, I knew I had to work. You know, my folks were just hard-working people, and we're not rich at all, but they would work. So I pretty much just found work anywhere.
Like Mike, a lot of times you have to look past who you thought you were going to be in order to discover who you can be.
I came to the United States to attend a college thinking that I would study English. As I was taking the English as a second language classes, there were no other classes I could take besides art classes, because in art classes I didn't have to speak English.
The only thing that kind of made me happy was just drawing. And on a whim, I took a class at East LA College. The few hours taking that made me so happy. I just continued.
It was a junior college where, there are all sorts of different students, and there are a lot of senior retired people. They were particularly nice to me. They kept telling me I was talented. I grew up in Japan where compliments, telling compliments to other people isn't a part of a culture, so I actually took that compliment seriously. That gave me kind of confidence, and naturally I fell in love with art. But later I found out that the old people were telling that to everybody else.
So I kind of went full circle. I got flunked out, but 3 years later, I kind of went back in.
When I went back to school to study animation, I was working really hard because that was what I wanted to do.
Rise and shine.
In animation, a lot of times when you're talking to students, they just have one thing on their mind. They want to work, say, at Pixar. And I like to say that, you have to pay your dues a bit. You have to work at different places. And I had some terrible jobs. Pushing carts in the freezing cold weather.
My first job ever, I was a forklift operator.
I worked at Dunkin' Donuts as a jelly and cream filler.
My first job was selling hot dogs.
That was a taco filler.
I was a busser at an Italian restaurant.
The cool thing that I took away from all those jobs is the characters and the people that you work with and all the moments. Every single thing that you're doing, you're living life, it helps you as an animator. Because when you have to do a scene, you're drawing from your experiences.
The first job I ever did was working at an amusement park in the foods department.
My first job in film was as a janitor.
My first job? I did caricatures. College was the first time for me, and I'm sure a lot of people, when you realize that you're not perfect, especially going to art school. You grow up drawing a lot of pictures, and mom and dad love them and put them on the fridge, and then you show up at art school and you realize everyone is the greatest artist from their school.
I think it can be pretty brutal sometimes, and that's something that I really appreciated about all of my professors. They really intentionally try to prepare you for the amount of rejection that you get as an artist. I think my high school art teacher used to say 1 out of every 10 drawings you do will be successful. Maybe the odds might even be fewer some days.
So much like going to school, you're working by yourself. Then when you work in animation, you realize that it's a collective effort. You're going to have other people's opinions.
You know, failure is a really strong word, but really, it's part of the process. Every step I take, every shot I do, you could say is a failure because I get notes from my supervisor, because every shot I show him, he's not saying, great! He's saying, great, now let's try this.
It's not really about you, it's more about communication. And if you design something that you think is really rad, but you show it to 3 people and none of them can read the type, then you have to start over again.
You're making a film, not a painting, not lighting, not animation. You're making a film. Just like baseball, it's not about one player, but we are trying to play as a team.
So this is my original rejection letter from Pixar that I got in 2000. It actually says 2001, but they got the date wrong.
And they basically said, look, thanks, but no thanks. Your stuff's too cartoony.
I still have 20 or 25 rejection letters.
I would have a board full of them. Oh, you got rejection letter number 52. It was almost like a running joke.
My favorite sentence in this, we were impressed with your submission. That little sentence gave me the encouragement that I had a chance. There are plenty of jobs that I have tried to get and ended up not getting. But in the long run, I'm really glad I didn't get those jobs because they ended up opening up other doors that I didn't even expect to go through. And those doors led me to other doors, which eventually led me to standing here.
It was important to us and important to me that people leave this theater, people who have just had, just had what they think are failures, that there's something for those people, that we walk out of that theater feeling better, feeling like there is still hope, feeling like there might be a path waiting for them that they never expected.
You know, there is still one way we can work at a scare company.